Thank you. You may have a seat. You can do it. You can do the introductions. Okay. Once again, we would like to thank everyone for coming this morning and spending the time with us. As mentioned earlier, my name is King Kakona. I'm a facilitator for today, so if you have any issues, please do contact myself and my co-host, Lahia Njalo. We will be the timekeepers, so we will ensure that this program runs smoothly. Please forgive us. We are an hour behind schedule, but we shall push as quickly as possible. I would like to stand upon protocol and introduce the following delegates. Honorable Governor David Gertze, the Governor of the Karas region. His Worship Philippus Albertus Balhau in his absentia, he shall join us later. Deputy Mayor, Her Worship Josephine Heiter. Please forgive me if I do not mention it correctly. Please wave. Thank you. Regional Councillor of the Ngaminus constituency, Honorable Susan Njaleka. Local Authority Councillor, Honorable Bridget Fredericks. They're all seated here in front. Our Deputy Head Special Advisor to the President, Mr. Carlo Mloud. All local authority councillors, Head of Government, representatives, Captain of Industries, thank you for coming today. We shall now begin with the welcoming remarks from the Honorable Governor, Mr. David Gertze.
Good morning, Kringwas.
Sorry, I was just I was informed currently that they would like to open up with a special prayer. So if the audience does not mind to stand and you may sit.
Allow me to give my word of thanks to the director of these proceedings, Regional Councillor of Ngamingu's constituency, Honorable Susan Njaleka, His Worship the Mayor, Honorable Philippus Albertus Balhau, all regional and local authority councillors, heads of institutions, captains of industries, local business community, members of the public, all invited guests, our members of the media, and with that, I observe the protocol. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. and distinguished delegates, my fellow Namibians, you are too quiet. I welcome you all to this very important regional engagement on the national upstream petroleum local content policy. Your presence here today underscores the collective commitment to shaping a future where Namibia's natural resources truly benefits all its citizens. I would at this juncture also give a special word of welcome to our esteemed visiting delegation led by Mr. Carlo Mloud, the Special Presidential Advisor and the Deputy Head of the Upstream Petroleum Unit. Your leadership and expertise are invaluable as we embark on this transformative journey. The recent oil discoveries and the subsequent development of Namibia's petroleum resources mark a pivotal moment in our nation's history, ushering in a new era of economic potential and national development. This is a chapter that demands careful planning, inclusive strategies, and a steadfast commitment to ensuring that the benefits of this newfound wealth are equitably distributed across our society. As Namibia embarks on its journey to harness its petroleum resources, it is vital that the development of this sector not only strengthens our national economy, but also fosters inclusive growth and active participation of Namibians at every level of this industry. The creation of a robust Namibia content policy for the upstream petroleum sector, with linkages throughout the entire petroleum value chain, is crucial for ensuring that the benefits of Namibia's natural resources are shared fairly and sustainably amongst all Namibians. The National Upstream Petroleum Local Content Policy in Namibia embodies the nation's dedication to maximizing the socio-economic advantages derived from its petroleum exploration and production activities. This policy is designed to ensure that Namibian citizens, especially those from historically disadvantaged groups, are actively involved in and benefit across the entire value chain of this vital industry. This objective is achieved by fostering the development of local enterprises, enhancing the skills and capabilities of the workforce, and facilitating the transfer of essential knowledge and technology. Moreover, this policy underscores Namibia's strategic vision to leverage its natural resources for broad-based national development, ensuring that the wealth generated from petroleum exploration and production contributes directly to the empowerment of its people and to the sustainable growth of its economy. This policy is not just merely a regulatory framework. It is a blueprint for economic empowerment, job creation, and the sustainable development of our communities. We must ensure that local businesses are capacitated and are suitably integrated into the oil and gas value chain, that our workforce is skilled, and that the environmental impact is meticulously managed. These consultations are an opportunity for us to collectively define what local content truly means for Namibia, ensuring that it translates into tangible benefits for our people and for our economy. Let us engage in constructive dialogue, share diverse perspectives, and work together to craft a policy that will serve as a beacon of sustainable development for generations to come. Let us continue working together towards a future where Lutritz thrives as an industrial hub that benefits all Namibians. And so I thank you. You are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Governor David Gertse, for that wonderful welcoming. We shall now proceed to hear from our Deputy Head Special Advisor to Her Excellency Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwa, Mr. Carlo Mloud.
Honorable David Gertse, Governor of Karas, Honorable Regional and Local Councillors, Your Worship the Mayor and Deputy Mayor, business community and the community at large, members of the community, members of the media, good morning to you all. I am truly honored to stand here today in this beautiful town of Ludritz, not only to speak, but to listen, to learn, and to walk with you on this important journey as we are embarking together as a nation. Namibia has entered a new chapter in its history. After years of exploration, significant oil discoveries have been made of our offshores, discoveries that carry the potential to transform our economy and open new opportunities for our people. But let us be very clear. Oil itself does not automatically bring jobs, does not reduce poverty or deliver prosperity. It is only through careful planning, fair policies, and putting Namibians first that these discoveries can become a blessing for our nation. That is why we are here today, to engage with you on this local content policy. This policy, approved by Cabinet and now placed before you for your inputs, is a national framework to ensure that our people, our businesses, and our communities benefit directly from Namibia's petroleum resources. What is this local content policy? In simple terms, this policy is about ensuring that Namibians are not left behind. It is a government commitment that oil companies must employ Namibians. They must train and develop our young people. They must source goods and services from Namibian businesses. They must transfer knowledge and technology to our people. Therefore, it is about ensuring that the wealth from oil flows into our homes, into our schools, into our clinics and hospitals, and our communities where it matters most. Why is this so important? Allow me to give practical examples. If a company needs 100 workers, as many of these jobs are possible should go to Namibians, especially to young people, women, and those from previously disadvantaged backgrounds. Also, if companies require catering, transport, or accommodation, these services should be sourced locally, creating business opportunities in our towns and our regions. If specialized training is needed, often people say that, yes, Namibians, they don't have the capacity or they don't have the skills. But if specialized training is needed, it is our children who should receive the bursaries and the scholarships to prepare them for future careers in this industry. This is not just about jobs, community. It is about building a future where Namibians own, manage, and prosper from the oil and the gas industry. But how will this be achieved? The policy sets clear rules and targets. Oil companies will be monitored. They will be required to report on progress, and they will be held accountable. Therefore, government will ensure strict enforcement so that promises translate into real benefits. We know too well from other countries that oil, if not managed well, can become a curse, an oil curse, where benefits are captured by a few, where corruption thrives and communities are left behind. Namibia is very determined to follow a different path. Therefore, the local content policy is our safeguard, our tool to fight poverty, to build skills, to create businesses, and to ensure that every Namibian has a fair chance to benefit. Therefore, let us reject fronting, where locals are used as mere tokens without true empowerment. Instead, let us embrace genuine participation that uplifts our people, that develops our communities and strengthens our economies. Together, we will rise. Fellow Namibians, this is our moment. This is our opportunity to ensure that the black gold discovered in our waters is transformed into real gold for every Namibian household. Let us build strong partnerships, not only with investors, but with each other. Let us support our youth. Let us empower our entrepreneurs and hold ourselves accountable to the highest standards of transparency, fairness, and equity. This consultation is your platform. Your voices, your ideas, and your concerns will shape the final local content policy. Together, let us make it a tool that reflects the aspirations of all Namibians. I thank you for your presence, for your participation today, and your commitment to building a brighter future for ourselves, our children, and for the generations to come. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank the Deputy Head Special Advisor, Mr. Carlo Mloud, for that wonderful presentation, but also welcoming remarks to the community of Luderitz. This is what the local policy is all about. It is to bring together the regulators, all various industries, and the community itself to bring input and therefore also create a policy that will benefit the Namibians for a long period to come. I would like to therefore move on to introduce a member from NAMCO, Mr. Alvilinus Shanika. By profession, he is a petroleum data management specialist and geologist. May we please give him a round of applause.
Honorable Governor Gerard David, His Worship Mayor Philippus Albertus Baliao, Deputy Mayor, Her Worship Honorable Josephine Hayter, Regional Councillor Honorable Susan Jaleka, Local Authority Councillor Honorable Bridget Fredericks, all our local authority councillors observed here, the heads of government. I should also recognize the deputy head of the Upstream Petroleum unit. There's Honorable Carlo Mloud, all stakeholders and the whole community observed here, including the media. A great morning to you. You should forgive me if I'm a bit anxious to stand in front of you, but I'm doing this with great respect. I am Avelino Chanika, like I was introduced before. I'm coming from Nantes, and I simply would like to digress a little bit. Of course, there's part of the reason we're here, but I'm going to present to you the general overview of the upstream, or rather the petroleum industry in Namibia, starting with, of course, our sister roundup as the what we have been doing here in Namibia in terms of our data power, and then we talk a little bit about working on land and in the ocean. And then around us with the current state of oil happening in terms of looking for oil and gas before I give you the summary. Now, my presentation is a bit technical, but I'll try my best to make sure that I say it in the level that we all understand. All right? Now, the first line, what I would like all of us to, know here is that I think we would like us to take the two items. First of all, when I'm talking of basics, I'm thinking for those that do not understand some of this terms, I'm simply talking of the collection or the decorations in the ground where sediments or material, be it from seawater or farm, collect and be buried into some, to some depth, there's some temperature pressure. And this material is the one that has the potential of being transformed into either oil, gas, or coal. So now, when I'm talking of basics, I'm just talking of this situation where the material is collect. Just so that you understand what I'm saying, the basics. So now, in Namibia, we offset 6 on this basis. Yeah? Now, 4 of them are in the ocean, and the 2 of them are on the land. Now, on our far left, we see 4 basins that are in the ocean, starting at the top with the Nile basin, followed by the water basin, and then another basin, and then the last one at the very bottom is the orange basin, in which focus has been approved. On that, we have the water basin in our basin. All right, now, after we discovered that Namibia had the potential of hosting oil and gas, we decided that, or it was decided that Namibia could be divided into portions that we call blocks, and these blocks were given specific numbers. These blocks were designed to make sure that when people come to Namibia trying to look for oil and gas, they simply identify the specific location into which they are interested. And so when they come to Namibia, they say, okay, identify the block into which you are interested. The block into which you are going to look for oil and gas. So we can refer them to the block. Okay, we can refer them to the block, as you can see. The first allocation of this block started in 1991, whereby people have been changing the application for this block. Now, before the blocks are awarded to them, we have to review and look at whether these people are capable of exporting or rather doing whatever activities they are required for. Which means if we take a certain block, and maybe we require them to drill, we have to find out whether they have the financial capability to make sure that say that also, then we say we have given them the license to operate. And therefore we say now the third is the petroleum exploration license. And that's the one we want to about 5 of them. But as I remember, we can see through the years to current, we are having quite a lot of licenses that we have sent out to companies. And prospective companies are still coming. Licenses that we have awarded to companies. We are thinking about 18 companies that are currently operating in Egypt. These are the license holders. And of course, of the really important to see at the very top, there is NANCO, there is our national oil company, the one I'm working for. But there is for all of us Namibians, because it's a national oil company, it's for all of us. Therefore, each and every Namibian is having a stake in that company. So, those are the companies we're looking at. Those are the companies that are currently operating in the Namibian waters. And also in the Namibian.
Sorry to all the audience. We are just quickly copying the presentation and handing it to NBC at the back because online there is nothing. We'll just give us a minute or two just to quickly sort the technical issue out. Thank you very much. How can I say, serve you as best as possible. Thank you.
All right. I hope we are still following. Now, as of now, we are having about 31 active licenses that we have awarded to different operators. There is onshore, like on land, and in the ocean. So far, we're only having one license, which is regarded as a producing license, and that is a crude fuel. We have one, which is reconnaissance. This one is simply testing the stratigraphy. It's not necessarily into exploration. We simply would like to find out what is happening beneath the ground. And then we are saying NAMCO operates 4 exploration licenses. And in all other licenses, NAMCO is having a stake, and we are carrying. We are having a stake of 10 to 15%, and in all those, we are carrying. Carrying simply means our partners come in with money, and they carry out the activity because currently NAMCO doesn't have enough capital or enough money to do these activities. So our partners come in, and they do it on our behalf. And when we discover something and production starts, then these companies will be able to report their money from NAMCO in terms of the revenues that will come from the oil and gas. All right, here we are simply presenting to you the ways of acquiring seismic data. This data that we acquire from either the ocean or from online. If you are seeing the ocean, we of course set up a vessel. This vessel is always putting a trawler of what we call hydrophones. It can spend even a span of about 20 kilometers. And what we do is we send a geosound to the ground. And because in the ground we're having different types of rocks, and these rocks are having different densities, or rather, they are having different hardnesses, they reflect sound differently. Therefore, those geophones and hydrophones actually receive the sound from this rock. When the sound is sent into the ground, it's received back at different intervals. And by different intervals, you end up with what is happening now on the right hand in an analog format. We call it an analog format before it's a computer. And that is what shows us what is happening beneath the ground. Now, if you look at this one, you see that you are having different layers. These layers are actually indicative of different rock heights or different horizons within the ground. They're saying that what happens in ocean is simply property. Actually, what is happening over there? The only difference is that what is there is now crust that are pulling this geophone. Now we're dealing with crust. And of course, it's the same concept, sending the sound in the ground so that the rock layers in the ground reflect the sound back for us to see what is happening beneath the ground, so we need a second. Now, there is one thing I would like to bring to your attention. You know, when we are capturing or when we are looking for this data, we either drilling or we are surveying so that we see what is happening beneath the ground or beneath the surface. The fact is, for a vessel to be on top of water for 24 hours in a single day, we spend about $30 million American. Just for a single day, about $30 million. Now, for us to complete the drilling of one well, we take on average a month. So the cost involved, we can say on average that's about $30 million American times 20 days. So we can see the cost involved. That is too much. Now, we are saying we have to keep it safe and secure so that there are no storage, there is not enough, and it is not unmanageable. Therefore, in NAMCO, we have the data storage or a data room whereby we lock up everything that is in hard copy. Apart from that, we also copy data onto servers so that we have soft copies on the servers, just to make sure that this data is safeguarded. All right? Because it's very expensive to acquire this data, so we cannot just let it hang around. All right? Now, we are going to look at the basins onshore. That's Wambo and Nama Basin. Quite a quick rundown. If we look at the Nama Basin, what I would like you to look at here is that we had kind of gas shows when we first did the drilling. That was in 1961. I think the problem is with the prohibition last year. We had some gas discovery that was in the Nama Basin. And then all along we did the exploration, and then when it came to 1971, we also bumped into some coal that was now in the Aranos area. Over the years, of course, the number of and then 6 wells were also drilled. That was in the Aranos area again in 2010. This was an area of focus because we picked up coal. Now, like I said at the beginning, when we take this sediment being transformed, they either become oil, gas, or coal. Now, because we found out that in Aranos we picked up something, so it became also a target area. That's why in 2010 we had also 6 exploration wells being drilled in that area. Of course, as we continue, as time goes by, we continue to explore in that area, and that is on land. In Oama Basin, we also had a lot of activities going on. If we look at that was 1960 to 70, we had some gas shows and some oil shows there in Ethiopia. And then in the 90s, we also had the seismic data that was acquired. And it went through. Of note here, what I would like us to take note of is that by the year 2021 to 2022, Red Africa went on to drill our first also water that is a big world, whereby we also had some trace of oil. Now, the latest one was dry, but the most important thing is that in this our base part of Alamo, we actually found out that we are having trace of oil, which means there are lots of mileage. We have a good chance of getting something. And as time goes by, of course, Red Africa is still in the region, and we continue to do exploratory or stratigraphic drilling in that area. Offshore basin, offshore exploration, that is looking for oil in the ocean now. That has been the most important one, I think, when it comes to our exploratory work in Namibia. And like I said, we are having 4 basins. All right. If we look at what is happening, I would wish that everybody see what is happening in terms of the wells that have been drilled. So far in total, we have about 45 wells that have been drilled. And from 2021 to date, in the Orange Basin alone, we have drilled about 20 wells. Most of them have been found to discover oil. Only a few were found to actually find nothing in there. But of course, you can see that on the right hand side here at the bottom, we are saying in most cases, previously we have been deploying shell to meet depth or to meet water depth drilling machines or drilling rigs. But of late, since we are operating at great depth, we use machines that are of deep waters. So we are now, we have been drilling in deep waters of late. This is just to show you the code that we recover from the wells. One of the most important reasons why we have to make sure that we get the core from the wells is because we have to take it to the laboratory. When we say we discover oil, the question is always whether you sweet or bitter oil. When it's sweet oil, we are saying we are having a bit of sulfur in this oil. And when it's bitter, we are having too much sulfur. Okay. Now, the task of the laboratory is to look at this core that we take up or the rocks that we take from the wells to show us what the oil of is in terms of, say, things like sulfur. Because it's one of the things that concern us when it comes to oil recovery. Here is a chronological order, or rather a time-bound history of what has been happening from the 60s to current. Here, I think we would like to look at the fact that the Kudu gas field was discovered in 1974. However, the production license was only granted or awarded in 2005. You can see the time frame it took. And then I would also jump the rail because the rest has only been exploratory activities to 2013. 2013 became one of the significant milestones in Namibian exploration because that was the first time we discovered oil in Namibia. I bet the fact that it wasn't conventional, it was non-conventional, but that is what really got Namibian chicken because that is when we found out that we were having oil here. Now, fast forward to 21 and to current, you can see that 2021 that is when we had our first discovery that was and since then the rest has been history to date. We have been discovering, after discovering, after discovering. All right, the Namib Basin, that is the basin at the top there, rather close to Angola. Not much has been done, unfortunately. So far, in that basin, we only had, I think, only one well has been drilled. But the thing is, there are a number of things that we still have to look at because not much work has been done in that basin. So we still need a lot of work, especially when it comes to drilling, for us to ascertain ourselves of what is happening in that basin. For now, we don't have much data, so we cannot really say much about this basin. Even though we are saying the source rock is there and the trap will be available, we still don't have much information. The Walden Basin, this is where we first discovered oil, even if it was commercial. But in this regard, we are saying the whole petroleum system. We are saying the rock that produces oil, the trap, the host where oil can be contained, everything is available in this basin. The Rotary Basin, also many wells were drilled here. Of course, we ascertain ourselves that the petroleum system, of course, is working in this basin, but we still have a lot of work to be done. We cannot really say much, but what we are saying is we also need a lot of work in this basin. However, we still have to do more. Now, coming to the sweet spot, that is our Orange Basin. The Orange Basin is this is where we are now, and this is where we had our discoveries. If you look at the black spots, all those are discoveries. So, the Orange Basin currently is the one that is making the Namibian oil industry tick. All those are discoveries, and we can see that we are having the good field where many wells have been drilled, and of course gas has been discovered. And then we are having oil discovered by companies like Total, Shell, Carb, Rhino Resources, Tata Oil and Gas. So we are having good discoveries in this area. In total, like I said, here we are having about 32 wells. Simply the Orange Basin, about 32 wells drilled. And of late, the wells that were drilled discovered oil and gas. We are simply to summarize companies that discovered oil. Like you can see there, we are having a car with partners NAMCO and Qatar Energy. We also having Total Energies partnered by Qatar Energy, NAMCO and Impact. For Terra 3, there is the Kudu gas. This one is not an exploration license. This one is a production license, because we are saying this gas has been found to be ready for producing. So that one is in our production license. Per 85, we have Rhino Resources, partnered by Zoya Energy, NAMCO and Current, and per 39, that is Shell, with Qatar and NAMCO as partners. So these are simply, to put it to you, like these are the companies that have so far made discoveries in Namibian waters. And then currently, what is happening where we discovered is simply that we are doing some more drilling, and we're also interpreting the data that came out of what we have done so far. And now, this slide simply tells us that much work has been done in shallow waters in Namibia, shallow to mid waters. However, little data that was acquired in deep waters indicate that is where we are mostly having sediments that are capable of producing oil and gas. If we look at this one, we can see that most of the work has been done in shallow waters, like data has been acquired in shallow waters. However, if we look at the way discoveries, it is in deep waters, which means what is on the far left is talking the truth when it says much of what is capable of producing oil and gas is safely in deep waters. And so we are saying we possibly should concentrate on looking at deep waters. All right, I hope I didn't lose any of you. Thank you. That is how much I could give you for now.
Thank thank you once again, Mr. Shanika, for that presentation. Just a few matters at hand. To the audience, kindly please put your phones on silent, as it is disturbing to the listeners here and also online. Secondly, also just kindly also lower the tone of speaking as well, please, because we can hear you up front and it is disturbing to our audience online. To the audience online, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope that you'll have a fruitful day listening to all the presentations. I will just take 3 questions from the audience. Does anyone have a question? Please raise your hand.
All right, thank you so much for the presentation. My name is Carlo Mloud, and thank you for explaining it in layman's terms so we can understand it, although you say it's quite a technical industry. I have a short question. You mentioned that we have about 31 active petroleum exploration licenses and 1 production license. So, what is the average in terms of lifespan from when you are exploring or discovering to actually production? Or then is it really worth the hype? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. First of all, we do not have an average when it comes to the time between discovery and production because of the following factors. First of all, there are plans that we have to put in place. When we discover, like I said, discovery will always indicate whether it's bitter oil or sweet oil. And this is one of the things that we first look at and make sure that we put our plans on how to make sure that we recover this oil. First of all, say the infrastructure, say the pipelines that we have to put in place when we are, say, taking this oil or gas from the ground. Has to be specific to the type of oil we are dealing with. Because the sour oil is more of or rather it's full of sulfur, and we cannot say we are going to use any other pipe to just carry it, because it will be very corrosive. So we have to make sure that we are having specific equipment, specific to what we are dealing with. Also, we are having finances. It takes a lot of capital, there is a lot of money to make sure that we move from discovery to production. Simply because everything we have to put in place is going to cost, or would rather cost a lot of money. So it's a matter of also gathering all these resources, put everything in place, so then to make sure that everything is ready for production. Also, when you're producing, you do not just take it or suck it out of the ground. You have to make sure that you have somewhere where you store it. So the facility that you put up floating on top of water is also another thing that comes with its own cost, and you have to make sure that when you do this, you also include transportation from this facility to wherever this oil is going to be refined or wherever the market is. So what we are saying is we are having finances and we are having equipment. These things cannot be time bound. We always have to make sure that apart from the time, we also have to make sure that we are having the finances and the equipment in place. Also planning it itself, just to plan on how you are going to do it, also takes time. You have things like the financial, the final investment decision. You are having the field development plans. All the things have to be done, and they take quite some time because you have to make sure that you have refined your plans before you put them to work.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Mama Kademi, Chairperson of the U.S. Constituency Forum. On behalf of the youth, we are receiving a lot of complaints when it's coming to legal men that are being awarded license to operate, as you just saw us on the presentation here. I'd like just to find out, as many youth are complaining about the company using women like APS to give job, which result in no payment benefit. Will NAMCO work with the government to stop this and give young people direct job and fair employment? I hope I'm getting my question. I hope I'm getting it.
I am going to pass that question I'm going to pass that question to our head of the Upstream Petroleum unit, the deputy. I wouldn't want to say much, but let him say something about that.
Thank you, Shanika. Thank you for the question. It's a very important question, and I think that is part and parcel of why we are here, to understand and appreciate the concerns. If you look at the local content policy and what it wants to achieve, it's basically speaking to those queries, say that participation should be broad, it should include Namibians, it should consider also the values, skills, and the knowledge that is in the country. That is basically to say that the National Upstream Petroleum local content policy wants to address, and that is basically our aim. So your input is noted. Obviously, if the policy now becomes implementable, it is a policy that basically sets the tone where everybody else needs to adhere to. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is standing in for the Media Youth Energy Forum. I am having thank you for the presentation first of all. I'm having a very curious question that came up during the presentation. What happens to the oil that is deemed or that has been considered as non-commercial? Is there any plans for domestic use long-term, maybe for the country? So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. That's a very good question. Very good in terms of understanding. And this, of course, one of the reasons why we are coming to you. This is one of the reasons we are coming to you. When we are saying the oil is non-commercial, we are not saying it's oil that we take out of the world that we draw and we keep it somewhere. No, we draw the world and we find out that the world that is in that particular location is not much enough for it to be taken out of the ground, for it to be sold. Which means if we try to take it out of the ground, we are not going to get anything that is going to get us money. So it's not oil that we take out. So that oil cannot be, it can be good oil, fit for use. However, since it's not commercial, it's not going to make us money. If we try to sell it, then of course, we are not going to waste our time to get it out. That is what we're saying when we're saying the oil is non-commercial. We are simply saying it's not profitable. It can be used if it was ample enough, but it was not profitable, so we cannot take it out.
Thank you, Mr. Shanika. Let's just give him a round of applause again. For the interest of time, I will not waste any more minutes. Ms. Louise Hangero, a petroleum inspector under the Upstream Petroleum unit, falling under the office of the President, shall now give us a following presentation. Let us welcome her warmly.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and fellow Namibians, all protocols observed. Good morning. You know, one thing in Namibia, when you say all protocols observed, in that one sentence, it means you included everyone. So please, all of you, my honorable governor and the team, please, you're all greeted. It's a great privilege to have you all here this morning as we are discussing this very important policy called National Upstream Petroleum Local Content Policy. This is just not another policy. It's a policy that will shape the future of Namibia. It's a policy that will shape the future of my child, my grandchildren, and so forth. It's a policy that will ensure that Namibia, all Namibians, benefits from this great oil and gas industry that we are talking about. Right? By show of hands, I think my job here has been made easier by Honorable Governor Hansen and the head of Deputy Head of the Upstream Unit. They have said it all about what the local policy is about. But by show of hands in this room, who of you feels, besides this table and this table, feels that now you understand what local content policy is, or you know what local content policy is, before today or from what was said by the presenters this morning? By show of hands. Who knows what local content policy is about? Don't disappoint me. My friend was right here and he told us what local content is. Honorable Governor said it. Nobody knows, right? Okay, so I think in short, local content is about in-country value creation. It's about creating value for Namibians from the petroleum resources that we have discovered, as it was said by Mr. Shalika from NAMCO. Local content in a layman's language is creating jobs for Namibians, is ensuring that Namibian industry is capacitating Namibians to participate, to meaningfully participate in the industry. Local content is if and when there's a petroleum company looking for a catering tender, local content is then using a Lutherate-based company or a Chivarongo-based company, a company owned by your uncle or your aunt, instead of importing or flying in a company from Houston to come and offer this catering service to these oil and gas operations. So in a layman's language, basically, that's what local content is. So the definition as per our policy right now is the added value brought to the Namibian economy through systematic development of national capacity and capabilities and investment in the use and procurement and development of Namibian workforce, goods and services, companies, ownership, financing, capital, and research capability in the petroleum sector value chain for the sharing of accruing benefits. So that's what local content in a nutshell is. Did I do you guys justice? Do you now understand what local content is? Please do not disappoint me. Do we now know what local content is? Right? Thank you so much. So why does this matter? It matters because of this very sad, very painful African story. Africans, for the longest time, has been the one producing or owning most natural resources. But most often, these natural resources have translated into a resource curse, then a resource blessing, right? Look at Nigeria. Nigeria discovered oil in the 1950s, in 1956 to be specific. But to date, Nigeria is one of the biggest oil and gas producers on the African continent, if not in the world. But today, Nigeria imports petrol. Nigeria produces crude oil, exports it, imports it back as petrol at 10 times the price they sold their crude oil at. That's a natural resource case, right? Look at a country like DRC. DRC is one of the mineral wealth countries in Africa. But DRC today, instead of prosperity, their wealth is looted. And the DRC people, citizens, still remains poor. That's a natural resource case, right? On the other hand, you look at a country like Norway. Norway is an oil and gas producing country, very big. But Norway has translated its oil into jobs, into universities, into hospitals, and so forth, right? So Namibia today, having discovered the oil that we have been told by Mr. Shanika from NAMCO, who do we want to be? Today is when we have to decide whether we want to be Nigeria, DRC, or we want to be Norway. Norway owns one of the biggest sovereign wealth fund from the oil and gas revenues, right? So today as Namibians, we have to make our decision as to whether we want to be looted or we want to defend our future. But for us to defend our future, we need to understand who we are dealing with. By that I'm referring to the oil giants we are dealing with, right? If you look at this, I don't know if you can see from the back, but here we have ExxonMobil, is operating in Namibia, Chevron, operating in Namibia, Shell and Total Energies. And who in this room would have thought that one entity, a company, can be bigger than a nation, than a country? And by market value, Shell or Total Energies, it's number 5 from the top right, but Total Energies market value is 10 times bigger than the Namibian GDP. So these are the countries, these are the companies we are dealing with. So for us to be able to win this game, what do? These companies operate on clear rules. We need to stipulate our rules today. They need to understand the rules of the game for them to be able to comply if we want to benefit from this industry, right? So now, having done with that, let's come to the Namibian story. I think you've heard everything from Shanika, that we've been making massive discoveries since 2022. And we have realized that as a country, this being a new industry for us, we have limited capacity in the sector, hence the need for us to create this policy. But we needed to ensure that this policy aligns with other development planning tools that we have, like Vision 2030, Harare Prosperity Plans, and the SD Sustainable Development Goals, as well as NTP 5 and NTP 6. Sorry, NTP 6. National Planning Commission is correct, NTP 6, right? Move on. So, us doing this, we are not starting this from nowhere. We are building on our constitution, which vests the ownership of natural resources into the state, I think it's Article 100, Mr. Mloud, if I'm not mistaken. So Article 100 says natural resources, I think above and below land in a continental shelf and Namibian territorial waters or something like that, belongs to the Namibians, belongs to the state. And the state, it means me and you, all the Namibians. But what is ownership without benefits? So this local content policy is basically trying to bridge this gap between ownership and benefits. Of course, we own the resources as Namibians, but how do we benefit from our resources that we own? This mandate is currently now with the Upstream Petroleum Unit as a regulator and the custodian of the petroleum sector to draft a policy that will ensure that the petroleum resources benefits all the Namibians. And that's basically why we are here with you today, to discuss this policy with you, to tell you that we have drafted this policy as per our mandate, and this is what we want to, where we want to go, where we are headed to with this policy, just for you to understand and ensure that it talks to all of us, or we are all covered in this policy. So the vision of this policy is to create an internationally competitive petroleum sector that would ensure that the benefits from this for the Namibians are maximized. And the mission is creating jobs, ensuring that Namibian goods and services are given a priority when it comes to procurement, and that we capacitate our companies at every cost. And the rationale for this policy, I think this is the message that we got from both Honorable Kharse and the Upstream, the Deputy Head for the Upstream Petroleum Unit, is to ensure national stewardship. Like I said earlier, what is ownership without benefits? What is ownership without control? Who do you want to manage your resources for you? Right? For you to benefit, you need to be involved in managing this resource or in control of this resource. So we want to ensure that there's that national stewardship of the petroleum resources. We want to promote sustainable development and energy independence, to ensure that we use the petroleum industry even for us to drive our just energy transition. Because the whole world is talking about just energy transition. But how do we get there without the resources that are required for us to drive the just energy transition? So we also want to ensure that we use this industry to drive our just energy transition strategies. And then also we want to support economic diversification, because the petroleum industry is not the end in itself. It creates many other industries that are required for the petroleum industry to thrive. For interest sake, or for an example, if we are to have, say, 3 drilling or 3 production vessels in Namibia, we'll be having probably around roughly 200 people on each of these vessels. These people will need to eat, they need to use the bathrooms, they need to shower. These operations need waste management companies. They need vessels that will be supplying goods and goods to them whatsoever. So we need to ensure that, as having this oil and gas industry, we create many other industries that will be required to support this industry, and to also just grow Namibia in general, right? And by inclusion, we mean we want to see everybody included: youth, women, all the ethnicities, and so forth. And also, we want to ensure that there's value addition in the country, that we are not just exporting everything, because the norm for Africa is that we've been exporting our wealth and importing poverty. So how do we ensure now this time around that we create in-country wealth with this resource? And we want to ensure that these companies, when procuring, they prioritize Namibian goods and services. So what we are saying with this is that whatever can be procured in Namibia should be procured in Namibia. If there's a toilet papers producing company in Namibia, we don't want you to be sourcing these toilet papers from South Africa or elsewhere. And then we want to ensure equitable opportunities, most especially for the previously disadvantaged Namibians, and Honorable Kharse alluded to this. And as to do this policy has 5 guiding principles. We are cognizant of the fact that this is a very technical intensive industry. Therefore, and it being a new industry for Namibia, we do not have the capacity yet to fully serve this industry. So we are taking a progressive development approach, or a phased approach. By that, we are saying that as much as we want Namibians to participate, we know that we do not have the capacity. Say, for instance, if the industry requires 100 engineers, maybe the first year let's start with 10, and with time increase to 20, 30, so forth. But then we also want to focus on the impactful areas. Like an example is that, of course, we cannot by tomorrow already supply everything ourselves as Namibians to this industry. But which service is more impactful for Namibia, will create more value for Namibia faster? Is it us supplying the toilet papers to the industry, or is it us, say for instance, having a fabrication plant in Walvish Bay, or is it us supplying casings to the industry? So we also, as progressive as we want to be, we also want to first start on the areas that are more impactful, right? The second principle is that we are committing as government, we are committing to upholding health, safety and environment, the highest health, safety and environmental standards, because we understand how risky this industry can be. So as much as we have these goals under this policy, we do not want to compromise on health, safety and environmental standards. And this industry is not a one-man show. We need partnerships. We need to work together with the industry to ensure that, of course, the government develops conducive or enabling policies and laws, but also because we want the industry to also invest in our local content development or to assist the Namibian local content development agenda. We want to work together to ensure that this dream is realized. And then we stand for transparency and accountability, and then to adhere to the best, to the international best practices. We have 9 policy objectives for this policy. The first one is to establish regulatory and institutional framework for local content. And for each of these policy objectives, we have strategies. Maybe just for context, for your understanding, I can just read the strategies that we want to use to realize the first objective of the policy, which is to establish regulatory and institutional framework for the local content. We want to do that by defining local content requirements clearly, to provide precise guidance on what constitutes local participation and value addition. We want clarity in these definitions. We want all the parties to understand what we mean when we are saying local content. And we also commit to conduct regular reviews and update the local content as required, because of course throughout these phases, with the oil and gas industry, you have an exploration phase, then you move to the development, and then the production. And the needs are different throughout all these phases. So we want to ensure that we conduct regular reviews to just be at par with the development of the industry. And we also want to ensure that we integrate local content development as a mandatory criteria in awarding all the licenses, the permits, contracts, whatsoever. And then to ensure that operators are held accountable for enforcing local content compliance throughout their supply chains. Like for instance, if we give a license to Total or to Shell or to Louis CC, we want to ensure that all the subcontractors that you use are also compliant with the requirement of the local content policy. And then the second one is to prioritize local content, local goods and services. I think I have said that we want these tenders to be publicly advertised so that the Namibians that have the capability can publicly, can be able to see these tenders and apply, and for them to be given chances to participate. And to maximize training, upskilling, and employment, we are trying to ensure that our people are trained to be able to meaningfully participate. As much as we cannot serve the whole industry right now, we want to be able to have this phased approach. And so, meaning we want to be able to, if we use, or if we only have 10 engineers that can be absorbed by the industry today, we want that to increase to 20 engineers in years to come. And we also want to ensure that the Namibians progress within their employment with these companies. We don't just want to have cleaners for 20 years from today. We want, if you are recruited as a cleaner today, for these companies to be able to give you a training program that would ensure that you get promoted to the next position and the next and the next. So we are holding these companies accountable by them having to submit local content plans for us to award them with whatever licenses or permits that they are looking for. That will ensure that our people are not only employed, but are also given a chance to grow within this industry. That's now training, upskilling, and employment. Also for employment, we are encouraging these employment opportunities to be advertised publicly for every Namibian to be given a fair chance to apply. And in doing this, we want to ensure that we avoid window dressing. Window dressing is it's whereby these companies or an oil and gas company would recruit a person just because they are previously disadvantaged for them to tick that box. But in actual fact, this person is not exposed to all the company's operations. They don't exactly understand what is happening. They are just being kept there as we have recruited previously disadvantaged. So we want to have strategies that will ensure that we control all these benefits, diversion, and I think one of us also mentioned the APS. We want to ensure that this policy avoid all these practices. And then we want to enhance supply chain localization. We want to ensure that there are unbundling of contracts, because we have oil and gas companies, or you have companies that would come with a whole contract coming from wherever they were operating. They have a contract, say for instance, with 3 other service providers, and they want to come as is to Namibia because they have these contracts for the next 5 years. So we are encouraging unbundling of these contracts to ensure that Namibian local companies also get a chance to participate. And we have strategies within the policy that will ensure all these are made possible. And then stimulation of research and development. This we want to do in partnership with our higher learning institutions and also the majors, just to ensure that our people are able to understand beyond the operations that they are involved in research and development projects. That also goes hand in hand with facilitating technology and knowledge transfer. By facilitating technology, especially the knowledge transfer part, one of the strategies that we want to use is, for instance, when we have to use experts for that certain position that we do not have skills for in Namibia at the moment. We want to use strategies to say, for instance, we give that expert a 4 years work permit, and during these 4 years, you have to have an understudy that would take over that position after 4 years. And if after 4 years that understudy is not able to take that position, then you have to be answerable to the regulator as to why that transfer did not happen. And then enabling Namibian participation and financing, because you heard earlier from the NAMPO colleague that this industry is very, very financial, capital intensive. So it requires a lot of finance. So we also want to have mechanisms. We want to be able to negotiate better deals for the Namibians with our financial institutions to ensure that our people fully participate in this industry. And then fostering collaboration between international and local entities. This is where we are encouraging partnerships, because we are cognizant of the fact that we don't have a company in Namibia, for instance, right now that can fully supply the industry with the drilling fluids. So for that, we have to rely on an international entity. But how do we ensure that our firms or our entities are empowered to an extent where they are able to take over at one point? So for that, we are encouraging partnerships between local and international entities for them to be able to get exposed to these systems and be able to take over and participate fully in this industry at some point. And then mandate localization of services and procurement. By that we mean, as much as we are cognizant of the fact that we don't have companies already established in Namibia that can fully serve this industry, we want to encourage that if you have that service provider that you require for your operations, can't they move their operations to Namibia? Instead of them sitting in an office in London or having their office in London, can they open a branch in Namibia to serve the industry from here? Because by that, we are also creating other benefits for Namibia. If they are sitting in Namibia, they will be forced to use Namibian legal services or legal entities. They will be forced to use Namibia financial entities and so forth. Yeah, so those are the strategies, and those are the objectives of the policy. And you're probably asking yourselves, why are we taking a phased approach instead of telling these companies that we have discovered our oil, but we have Namibians, we have people in Namibia that can do whatever this work is 100%. It's because as much as local content creates jobs, it develops skills, and it ensures that technology is transferred, and it also ensures that our small and medium enterprises grows, and it diversifies the economy, like I mentioned before. There are a lot of disadvantages that has to be considered for you to come up with the targets. You just don't decide first day that we have discovered we want 50% local content, because there are disadvantages for you doing that. There are capacity gaps, and I mentioned all this before. We do not have the expertise required to serve the industry in full. We also do, our entities, also Namibian entities, we do have waste management entities for argument's sake, but they do not meet all the standards that are required for them to fully serve the oil and gas industry. So there's that capacity gap. And because of that capacity gap, we need to use experts, or we need to use international entities for us to learn through the process and be able to take over at some point. And then it's also a bit costly. It's more costly for the investors, because if we are saying 50% local content or nothing, then it means they have to train these Namibians for them to meet the 50% that we are requiring. They have to capacitate these entities for them to be able to use 50% Namibian entities, and that will become costly. And mind you, the exploration cost, all this money that these companies are spending exploring for this crude oil until they find it, is recoverable. At some point, when now they start producing, they will have to recover this cost. Meaning at the end of the day, who pays for that cost? Who pays the exploration and the development cost? It's the Namibian government, because it's recovered. So it will be a bit costly for them if you impose this on them, and then it will also spell back to government, or fall back on government. And it also creates risk of fronting and corruption, because if you're telling me that for me to operate in the Namibian space, I need to have 50% Namibian or nothing, what will I do? I'll create a company owned by Luis Hangero, yet Luis Hangero is not the beneficial owner of that company. So this would create those fronting, corrupt issues in Namibia. And there will also be delay in project timelines, because now we are racing against the energy transition. We have to get our oil out of the ground, and we have to get it now for our development agenda as well. So if we decide that it's 80% local content, then these companies, in the meantime, they will choose to go elsewhere where the terms are conducive and delay our projects, which is not good for us. And there's a risk of protectionism. This is whereby they would rather move to jurisdictions where they are getting more favorable terms and leave us here with our crude oil under the ground. So when you are setting targets for local content, you have to be considerate of all these disadvantages, right? And then when it comes to the implementation framework, I mentioned before that this industry, or this game that we are getting ourselves in as a country, is not a one-man show. So even implementing or ensuring that the goals of this policy are realized, we need a whole number of entities to support us. The Upstream Petroleum Unit will be the entity that will be ensuring compliance. So there will be a requirement for the companies when applying for licenses, permits, whatsoever, to submit a local content plan. And this is what we will, my English is getting finished. The companies will be required to submit local content plans, and will be using these local content plans to ensure that they comply with what they promised to be doing. At the end of each year, they will be required to now submit local content reports, and we will assess the reports against the plan that we approved to ensure that they are compliant. If they are not compliant, there are also penalties that can come in terms of or in forms of fines, sanctions, etc. So this is all to promote or to safeguard the national interest and to align with the implementation laws. And then NAMCO also is an entity, is a national oil company, and then their interest also is to safeguard the state's commercial interest. So because it participates in these upstream operations, there will be an eye for government, right? So they will be there to assist us promoting Namibianization and to ensure that there's inclusive national participation across the whole value chain. Petro Fund, I think it will continue with its mandate of training Namibians, providing scholarship, and ensuring that there's skills development for the Namibians, because we can't leave this fully to the oil and gas companies. We must know for sure that the oil and gas companies are here to maximize profits for their shareholders. And we all know that, because even if you have a home shop, what do you open that home shop for? It's to make profits, right? So that's exactly what the oil companies are here for. That's the mandate they come with from their shareholders. Go and maximize profits for us. So we cannot leave all this to the oil companies. We have to ensure that we have Namibian entities that will drive our interests. And then the operator, this I mentioned before, they will be required to prepare local content plans. They will be required to employ Namibians, to prioritize local suppliers, transfer technology, and to submit annual compliance report and ensure that contractors and subcontractors meet obligations. By this we are saying, if you're an operator, you have a subcontractor and a subcontractor, or you have 10 other subcontractors, it's also your responsibility to ensure that all the subcontractors that you are using in Namibia are all compliant with the local content requirements. It will also weigh on you as an operator when it comes to now renewing or extending your licenses whatsoever. So it is also the responsibility of an operator to ensure that whoever you are dealing with is a compliant legal citizen. So to conclude, we want this policy to apply throughout the entire petroleum value chain, from exploration, development to production. We want to capture benefits for the Namibians throughout the whole value chain. We are not only starting with the development or a production. We want to ensure that throughout the whole value chain we capture wealth or benefits for the Namibians, right? And then transparency, inclusion, I have mentioned that international global best practice, I have mentioned that also. And that also I've mentioned that we want to do or to conduct regular reviews to ensure that this policy or these requirements are fit for purpose at each and every stage of the value chain. Because, of course, this is our first test. Maybe we will realize 2-3 years from today that we were too overly ambitious, or maybe our targets were too low. Let's review, because this is how the industry is responding to this. So we want to ensure that we keep track of the performance, and then we review to fit the purpose as it goes. But the goal of all this that I have said is shared prosperity, reduced inequalities, and sustainable development through the entire petroleum chain. I think I was so short, but yeah, that's all we are saying about the local content policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hangero, for that splendid presentation. Now we shall take a few questions.
Things are falling.
Good morning. My name is Professor. Si Inggris ya, ik kan misschien in Afrikaans praten, want ik kan Afrikaans praten. Want die zoon is praat Afrikaans. Oké. Mijn naam is Gerson van Jadonga. Eerst, ik welkom die... Yes. Okay. Kete ondala manga kupandula kuja. Andi pandula kovenda nye alamu ya mfunda moli injiji. Sinakona sano maodi. Ya oi pandula paise singa fandauda kwa nena zilime menda kula di masanga. Haipo pile ko suana sali injili. Abatulio lokola kucha heno otuji testa mpopi sotete ngala kucha kalunga penge omite yo pendipo tosiji ya Namibia opakala elikonima mo koloni kaiso politika de países mo ya kusi nati potenyo sili chaso mo ya tukunda faneni sinakonasa nejo da Namibia. Ejo da Namibia nadi kaleta patanawa kora Namibia se opo osuana se pesta jukonina komongula siange ejo kudipatuni na gasingengo topo pi NGP6 efane konjo diono la papa ponale mango silongo na sinanguluka mangasia me manguluka de fione na ringa tuline mo NGP6 ayo popo NGP 1 2 3 4 adi sodo tembo opahala kulombo le kucha omo makala mune kambani dakala ngaso o kambani iliko arandes oyo ilongo o funda tetankala mune kambani ngaso akala mosomea ilongo ngopol tetankala mune kambani ngaso de didesi epukole teni injuete nendala kulilembuleni ololoto poto loko liye ipopito yoreneka haipo kisina konasa lepangel gasno ipopito oponyevu kale masiwa kuja epese da matula poto loko oto dili ikadibro kupa fo loko popo weto loko la ngasi api poto ni pei ngego ai kwari asere okuno mombo muno bano bala ngero loko ve nasimaliwa velo mombo no quality omombo ikadire kali wako vani taleni popo hatu oili na kuja oponita la kuja leta popo loko tuanje pesa nda kufikepe ngene kasi hapo kwa maoni otuno o ilongo ifide mu Afrika ngazi wa popo ya Nigeria yeto popo ya Angola okati yetu kwa sababu okay. Okay. Yeah. Epulo langere me olivinga. Hoi plus na konasa lokola.
Asking about the local content policy that you just presented now. So he's going to speak in Ashibambo, and immediately I'll then illustrate or translate in English.
Ya kucha olokola kai newino kupokya. Papumba nenge no tu deiko kucha genga atwa lokola kutotsi hai.
The local content policy does not have a voice. So when we referring to the local content, what are we saying?
Opo bana vesera soko dako oso etameko oko kwa finji wakucha peife nga tafinda na penge nga topeno maho.
So that everybody is well aware or is at the same stage, so that when we're, where is the state, what's the status of the local content now? Okay.
Ya, papandula esimo yakuse, asiko moyakuse kupopieni, opotusi loku. Opotusi loku deiko nawa, tukaleni pamwe, opomo asune tanti, okotwali kolinjiri, no akwashiwa no pelamoni. Tu deiko setusi loku, okuyanjo omaludo.
He says he's very grateful that we came here to address the community, but however, we also need to listen to them, their concerns, so that we are all well aligned.
Ngasi kombinga wana ilongo. Wana ilongo asisiwa rapewi ilonga si. Asikwe. Omo wana aro. Etanjo ilonga konu. Dono kene umbo. Kene houto. Asikini meisei. Wampa ito osalale ya yopo.
He says, for instance, the employees, they do offer job opportunities, but however, they do not have shelter, which is then houses. They also don't have cars.
Oini maneisei, unakuipatelamo, de topopisasi, urano talalongo maholi, koilongo yaro, hapifa na kucha European Union. Urajako ulopa, no de naumo uwese, o apatelamo ilonga.
That those things need to be consolidated, or rather included in the job offering, because those people are coming from Europe, from a union called European Union, that then also has their benefits.
Osiwane unenune ngenge opoindayo aipotepo kuja Africa Union ovane ilonga la Africa vatalikweko kucha ne chashivapu ne ilonga ka ese kilonga yokenga ngenge kotashia pe po mafutilo ya talikako opae mopolo sa autopopio.
We're suggesting that we have our own African Union, whereby when our locals are employed, those benefits are also included and also consolidated within the local policy, so that it's a guide for when the internationals or whoever comes make sure that those benefits are also included.
Opohano ne tukaleta kufaipolo hepolo wa Afrika. Sasa Afrika fiyope ifenga kenanana oua na uhapoka okunuwa na ko uhapo singaka.
That is also just to curb the challenges that Africans have, because we don't necessarily have benefits as those that he alluded to earlier, and he believes that if we incorporate that, it will be beneficial for us Africans.
Nosipope wasangesa honi wasokutapika kamiseni ngasipamene nyoma honi ne hasa kadipope wangi opo Namibia mo uyoita ngas moilo ngito ya Afrika. Opo Namibia mo uye oita oya eta koma honi ne hasa.
We also need to be very much aware of these resources, particularly the oil and gas, and treat it well, so that we do not attract war in Namibia. Because we do know that these resources are kind of, it's an attraction to war in most countries. He's very much grateful. May God be with you all.
I think this whole initiative, what we are doing here, why we are here today, or why we have decided as a country to develop this policy, is to change that African narrative, like I said. We are cognizant of all those issues that comes with being a resource-rich country, and we are trying to ensure that from the word go, we avoid becoming resource-cursed, and we ensure that our policies shapes Namibia and our natural resources, or our petroleum resources to be specific, becomes a blessing for Namibia. And your request to harmonize the local content policies on the African continent, we take note of that. That will be part of the contributions from the communities, from the community in literates. That one is noted. And that local content policy does not have a voice. It does. We are the voice of local content. It's why we are here. We are here because and I think Mr. Mloud, the deputy head of the Upstream Petroleum Unit, mentioned in his remarks that we are here not only to tell you what it is that we have developed and how it looks like, but also to listen to how you would want to be served by this policy as Namibians. So, of course, we are here to listen. Please, you are more than welcome to give us your contributions. And the status of local content right now, without a policy, our Petroleum Exploration Production Act of 1991 also stipulates the need for these companies, or mandates these companies to recruit Namibians where skills are available or skills exist, and also to procure from Namibian local suppliers. So already we are ensuring that in all the petroleum operations, these provisions are complied with. As much as we do not have a policy, we're doing everything to ensure that these companies comply with those provisions of the Act. So it's not like we are doing nothing at the moment. I saw people were dressed in KAISO overalls. You are employed by KAISO, right? You are a Namibian, right? So we do have Namibians that are employed by these international companies. Do we have any other people in this room that are employed in the upstream petroleum industry right now? We can, just by show of hands. Yeah, we have a few. So we're ensuring that where capacity exists, where the skills exist, Namibians should be considered. Only that we are still busy finalizing the monitoring mechanisms to understand how much of Namibians or how much is being absorbed by the industry. And the no shelters, no cars, they are just providing employment. My answer to that would be that all these companies, wherever they go, they operate as per that jurisdiction laws. And our laws right now in Namibia, and I'm saying this under correction, I'm not a lawyer, I don't think there's any law that says that if you offer someone employment, you must also give them vehicle and housing benefits, or car and housing benefits whatsoever. So they operate as per what the laws of Namibia requires. But it is a good suggestion, we take note of that. It's not like just because they operate in the EU and the EU has those requirements, they automatically have to come implement those here. Here, we have to meet what the Namibian laws require, but we take note of your contribution. It's a great contribution. I think that was it. I believe I covered everything.
I will take one or two more questions, please. I would kindly like to recognize His Worship, the Mayor, Mr. Philippus Albertus Balau. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Thank you. Please just stand for the audience. Let's give him a warm welcome. Thank you very much. Now we shall proceed.
My name is Aser Mukapuli, and I'm here to represent the Namibian Association for Oil and Gas Service Providers. May I please be seated? I'm sitting here. Okay, that was really a very nice presentation because it has encapsulated everything summarized. Because I was going through the document, it was quite long, but there are 2 points that I picked up. The one is the resource scarce, and then the diversification. This is really very much important. Resource curse, as we have seen in Africa, you gave the example. But then we must also think about the Dutch disease. The Dutch disease is when a country concentrates on one resource to the of the other industries. There is an example of an island in the Pacific Ocean that was a normal tropical island. They discovered phosphate, and it's now the poorest country in the world because they've destroyed the environment and stuff like that. So it's good that we address this resource curse and then through diversification also. My question, I've got two short questions. One is when, according to plans, when will this become law, the local content document, policy or law? And then my other question is also, or suggestion is that because a lot of Namibians feel not, what did President Kankop say? They're not part of the game, not included exactly, because we didn't have this in place. So my question or suggestion to the governor and the local leaders that we must expand local content to other ministries and industries too, so that we can make sure that this also applies to other industries, not only to the oil and gas industry. Thank you very much.
Maybe Mr. Mloud wants to. Okay. Okay, the plans are there for this to become a law. Definitely, we are not only ending with the policy, but we want to finalize the policy first to ensure that it's passed, and then we move on to the development of the law for the local content. That's a very good contribution, and of course that's the route we are taking as government. And for the Dutch disease, that's also why we have one of the objectives, which you have mentioned yourself, as diversification of the economy, is to ensure that we don't concentrate everyone, all of us in the oil and gas industry, but we create other industries to support the oil and gas industry, which will also create employment for the Namibians. So they say there's a blessing in being last. So we are learning from all these experiences of all these countries, and we are trying to be as cautious as we can. And the local content policy is a tool, or we are using the local content policy as a guardrail to ensure that we don't fall into these same mistakes that other countries have fallen into. And I think I wanted to say the third thing, but I forgot what it was. Yeah.
Thank you, Louis. On the issue of when will it become law, it's important to know that this policy has already been approved by Cabinet. It has already been shared to the various operators and also the service companies, and we have seen a response from the operators as well as the service companies, and they have accepted the policy in principle. We have seen them also going an extra mile in order to enhance the policy. We are also still in consultation with these operators and the stakeholders. So once this policy has been gazetted, we will also ensure that the elements that emanate from this policy then translate into the Enabling Act as well as the regulations. Now in the regulations, we will now set targets, because at this point, the policy only speaks broad-based what we want to achieve. The regulations will now set targets, and we have seen in other jurisdictions where the regulations say that 60% of this particular subsector should be for Namibians, 50%, 40%, etc. But that decision needs to be informed, and that is where the industrial baseline studies that was conducted gives us that particular ability to understand what is the situation on the ground, how many people do we have in terms of competencies and skills, how many businesses are out there, so that we can ensure that this regulation speaks to, making sure that there is protection for these particular businesses as well as owners. On the issue of expanding into other industries, I don't know if you have followed, especially Her Excellency talking about Namibianization of our natural resources. So that already speaks to, the other industries. We are seeing that government is moving towards that direction of making sure that there is value created from our natural resources. And that is not only for petroleum, but also for mining, etc., and other resource-based industries. So we can hear the voices of Namibianization adding value to our resources being spoken broadly by government. So yes, but it is an important contribution that you are making, that said it should expand to other industries and other sectors. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Lucille Adams. I'm representing the youth of Lutherans, not Namibia, Lutherans. I just want to ask, is there any policies put in place for Lutherans youth? I'm not trying to sound selfish or anything, but we have a problem in Namibia. Then whenever it comes to Lutherans, the resources of Lutherans, we always talk about the whole Namibia benefiting. But at the end of the day, everyone benefits besides Lutherans. As you can see, there's not really youth in this meeting, because I believe that they are tired of coming to meetings, listening, and not getting anything out of it. I feel it's only fair that we always think of Lutherans. Not that we don't want anyone else to benefit. We want everyone to benefit, but we are always excluded. It's the honest truth. We are always excluded. Our town is becoming a ghost town. We are hanging on promises of development, of what. We have been getting these promises for more than, let's say, 15 years. We were supposed to get them more 15 years or so ago, but yet it's only starting this year. And I think it's only because of all of this benefits coming to Lutherans that they are actually focusing on it now. But the question is there any policies put in place for the youth of Lutherans? Saying that people keep emphasizing that we are the leaders of tomorrow, but we're not being equipped. We had a meeting with, I think it was Shell, also one of the big investors of the oil. We made a suggestion that they might start exchange programs where we go outside to learn how are we going to engineer our projects, because we always the laborers at the end of the day, but we don't know how to become one of the top guys. So I think it's only fair that we become one of the people that actually engineers it. Like me, for instance, I've been volunteering for 5 years, but I have 30 points grade 12. Imagine that I'm sitting with all of my papers. I have my survival, I have safety, but I never get a job in my own town. I've been part of Kaizo for 3 months in this year. Most of the companies that are under Kaizo are companies from outside. So even though Kaizo is here, they come in with their workers. So we are still excluded at the end of the day. So how are we actually being included? Not the whole Namibia. What are we doing for the community of Lutherans, the residents of Lutherans, and the youth of Lutherans? Thank you.
Thank you. Your contribution is noted. Let me say, when you talk about a policy that's specifically talking to Lutherans or the inhabitants of Lutherans, it is my response basically, it is something that we are taking note of, We are considering your concerns. As government, we have the mandate to ensure that, you know, our policy speaks nationally, and it should include everybody. However, I've taken note of your concerns. It is something that we can look into internally. Thank you. And on the issue of a certain company that is employing people, but it is also employing, like you are saying, foreign workers. I cannot really speak on that, but what I can say is that sometimes you will have certain skills that are not based or found in Namibia. And I think Kaeso is a technical company. It could be that they are phasing out, you know, some of the services, some of the workforce, some of the skills. But we should also understand that this is a new industry for us. And we are learning also. And as it's a new industry, we should be mindful that not everything will be 100%. We are depending on expertise from outside, and a phase process needs to take place where the expertise that are coming in the country creates value by training and empowering the locals so that a systemic process can take place. So if we say that all companies that are coming in must just 100% employ Namibians, we are not experts of the sector. This is a new sector to us. So we must be mindful of that. We lack certain skills in certain areas where we don't have the expertise. But of course, certain areas where the low-hanging fruits, like, you know, being welders, being, you know, semi-skilled jobs, that one we can understand that we need Namibians to take that particular positions. But in terms of other skills where we don't have, we also still need to have that ability to be patient and see how best this company can, you know, translate that services or that skills to Namibians. Thank you.
And indeed, just to add to what Mr. Mloud said, indeed it's a good contribution, but looking at the example of Nigeria, they discovered in 1950, they only woke up to realize that they are actually not reaping the benefits they must be reaping from the industry in 2001. And today, no welding of the upstream oil and gas industry is done out of Nigeria. It's meant for Nigeria operations. Today, fabrication of all the, are they called tools, whatever, required for the upstream industry is done in Nigeria. So it's a journey. It's a journey. We are considerate of all these things, and it's a phased approach. We will get there with time. And also just to note, this policy that I just presented on advocates for all unskilled roles to only be reserved or ring-fenced for Namibians. So we do not want any role that requires unskilled personnel to be, for us to have foreigners in those roles. We are ring-fencing all the unskilled for the Namibians. So that's where we are starting. But for the skilled one, it will be a process, just like what Mr. Mloud indicated. Thank you.
So I'll take 3 more questions.
Thank you. I'm Keshe Shenyangange. I have a few questions or suggestions. Number one, in your document, the purpose of the policy, I see that you did not actually highlight the environmental issue. So most probably one needs to look at it by actually, I'm just making a suggestion by saying securing environmental friendly extraction of resources on and offshore is one of your purposes of your policy. And the other issue that we've also just seen is that the effect that this extraction of oil is going to have on the fishing industry and the agricultural industry, if you look at that. So they work with one another, so we need to have this policy also speak to them so that they are in synergy with one another. So that is one of the things that I wanted just to indicate. Thank you.
We take note. We take note, but for the environmental, I think it's under the principles. One of our principles is to uphold the highest environmental and safety standards, but we take note that you want it spelled out under purpose. It's noted. Okay. Thank you so much.
So I'll take the last four and then that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Please be advised that after lunch there will be recommendations and more questions that you'll be able to ask. So do not worry about this small session now. The afternoon session is where we are going to need each and every one of you to give a recommendation or ask a question that we will take note of and try and alter our policy accordingly if it doesn't speak to it already. So I'll just take 4 more hands and then we shall move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Philip. There was in a law that says the oil and gas, which is particularly does not belong to Namibians. You want to ask this question: is it true or not?
Thank you so much for this question, and this question has been asked countless times, but for clarity, let me put it this way. Article 100 of the Namibian Constitution states that all natural resources belongs to the state. I think that is very clear. The oil and gas resources belongs to Namibia. Now, there's a comma. When you extract it, you need investment. You need people with the capacity and the skills to develop this particular resource. And that is where we depend on operators that comes in. They use their resources, their finances, and because of the regime that we have what we call a tax and royalty system in Namibia. They take the resource from our surface, and in return, we levy them with taxes and royalties. Yeah. So, subsurface, the resources belongs to Namibians. Once the oil enters the wellhead of the operators of the drilling rigs, that is now calculated as theirs, and then we tax them based on what they are taking. Thank you.
Yes. So what I'll do is I'll have you each ask and then note it down and then.
I think I introduced myself already. My name is still the same name as Jumana Mutarini. Is leader just narrated a bit about the Article 100 that the natural resources belong to the government, to the state, if I got him very well. In your presentation, you did not touch or mention something regarding the percentage that the government has in the oil and gas. And we are having, and I'm seeing, reading also that the government only has 15% in oil and gas. maybe you can able to share with us some challenges that the government is facing for occupying some certain percentage, so less like that, and by the article, saying the resources belong to the state. What are the challenges that the government is facing? Maybe if it's possible, they can also try to get some loans, some money out, so that they can maybe try to have more share, more placement. That's why I submit.
Yes, good morning, my fellow Namibians. My name is Cheleni Angola, representing the youth in the oil and gas sector. My question goes like this. As we all have known that there are vessels that used to control oil in Namibia. But one thing I have noticed is that for those that are employed in the oil and gas, most of the companies are employing people based on a 1-month contract. And for the sake of experience, if we are looking into it, between oil and gas and the fishing industry, for a well-experienced person to come from the fishing industry to be employed based on a 1-month or 2-month experience, it will not be able. And from their kind of context, it will come out to say Namibia does not have enough qualified people. But so far, you are employed on a 1-month contract. I have proof of it. And also you don't have medical. If the companies take and go, you are left with another chance that will have to come from the future. So, are we all aware of those kind of things?
All right. My name is Marcialas. I have just 2 observations. So, Luisa, in your opening remarks, you touched on 2 things, which is the issue that Nigeria experienced, as well as the wealth fund created by the Norwegians. So, with regards to the wealth fund, if we were to also go that route, what is the timeline of that fund to be created? How is it going to be funded? And how would it benefit then the Namibian individuals, as well as those professionals that needs to be trained? Because you mentioned something like, if we don't have that skill, an understudy need to be sort of appointed in order to learn. Is this understudy being funded by the Wealth Fund or by the company that is actually coming to do the drilling? And then when we are going through the experience of Nigeria, in the media there has been talks where at first we wanted to build our own refinery, and then some international people came and there was news that we don't have the capacity to actually build a refinery. So then if one has to go with the last sentiment, it means that still our oil will be drilled and it will go out and we will buy it back again on a higher price. With that said, and with the lack of skills, what are then the timelines for us to say, yes, we are going to allow you to go out for this time frame, but after this time frame, we need to have our own refineries to be able to refine our products? Thank you.
Which one should I start with? Okay, maybe I will start with the first one was the government, why we only have that much percentage. If Mr. Shaneka doesn't mind, I would want him to take that one. because in his presentation, he mentioned how much a drilling vessel costs per day. And that's if you are drilling to explore for crude oil that you do not know whether you will find or not, right? And if you are a partner to this deal, it means you are liable for your 50% or 70% or whatever that percentage is contribution. Now, mind you, if as government you have more than 50% ownership and you are drilling for to find this crude oil wherever that is, and per day you are paying a drilling ship 330 million US dollars. 30 million dollars a day. You are taking this money from the government coffers, taxpayers' money, to drill, not knowing whether you will find or not. Because in Namibia, how many wells did we drill before we found oil? More than 30, right? Sorry? About 32. Up until before we could discover. So all this up to 30, plus minus 30 wells were dry. And about 30 million US dollars was spent on each. No, I mean for the whole now drilling campaign, not per day. For the whole drilling campaign, plus minus 30 million US dollars was spent. And then it's a dry well. You go on the second one, you spend that much, it's a dry well. Third one, you spend that much, it's a dry well. Now imagine how much money Namibia would have invested in all these dry wells. So this is a very, very capital intensive industry. It's why as government, especially when you are a frontier country like Namibia, we didn't know that we have oil, so we couldn't risk it. Now that we have oil, maybe it's now the time we start looking at how we can increase our share in the business. But before we didn't have oil, it's a risk we didn't want to take because that's your money that we'll be using for all these dry wells. And mind you, all these service companies, all these drilling ships, the Halliburtons, the what have you, are all international companies. So this would have been your money being shipped out of Namibia for dry wells. So does that make sense? It's why it's not that of a straightforward decision for a country to take. Maybe Mr. Mloud also can add on to that.
Thank you, Ms. Angelo. Just to add on it, there's risk capital that is being provided for by the operators. This is capital that we don't have as Namibia, as government. We don't have that amount of billions in order to extract, oil ourselves. And it's a very risky initiative. It's a very risky project. So what happens then is that we allow the investors to come, use their resources, their money to extract this. And we saw the figures, we've heard the figures. These are extraordinary figures. This is a lot of money that if we as a country should pick up that space of our budget, it will be very, very, very risky. But to continue and to give you a bit of comfort, the government take from these projects. And listen to this. The government what is the government getting from all this? You will have a project that is perhaps, from 100%. Then you look at how much percentage is governments take from that particular project. If you look at our royalties is at 5%. And then you add 35% to that 5%. And then you add 10% of NAMCOR's involvement also, that is free carry. That already brings you to 50%. And on top of that, that is also what the law provides, additional profit tax. Means that if there is additional profits that is made by the company, we also tax them. So it can go up to 55% from that. In certain instances, 60%. That is the government take, where the company then just walk away with 40%. So sometimes we need to understand things in context. We hear we only have 10% or 5%. No, but we are forgetting that there's also, the taxes that needs to be paid. And all this adds up to 50% or at times 55%. Thank you so much. I hope that is clear.
And mind you also, this 5% that we have for NAMCO, in most of the cases, or the 10% NAMCO, in most of the cases it's free carry. What it means is that these national, international companies come here, we want to explore for oil in your country, so give us a license. Namibia will give them a license in exchange for carrying NAMCO 10% for free. So they invest themselves up until a certain age, a certain stage, maybe by development or production. That's when NAMCO starts contributing financially to the cost. So now imagine yourself, if you tell me that, Louise, you have a home shop at your house that I want to start renting, and I tell you that, yes, to rent that home shop, it's okay, but invest 100%, but 50%, you give me the 50% share. Would you do it? 100% investment, but 50% profits is coming to me. Would you do it? So there are all these technicalities that we need to take into consideration. The other one was the 1 month contract. 1 month contract, we take note of that. And we have said this many times, this is a new industry for us. We are now trying to develop mechanisms on how we can best benefit fully from it. But sometimes this has been done because some of these companies would come here just for a 3 month drilling campaign. And they don't need you after those 3 months. So it's why sometimes they will end up giving you 1 month, 3 months contract. But we have noted it. It has been reported to our office prior, and we try to see how best we can manage that deal we have within the local content policy also. The Wealth Fund, I know Namibia has developed a wealth fund called the Virtual Wealth Fund, which looks into saving profits from petroleum and all other natural resources that we are producing as a country. But I don't have the exact details on it. I think there's 2 parts to it, of which one is generational savings and the other one is balancing savings or something for when the country is not performing very well, then the sovereign wealth fund kicks in. And we also want to save some of the proceeds from this industry for our future generation, just to ensure that today's and future generation benefits from this resource, because it's a finite resource. It's not non-renewable, it's finite. At some point it will end. But we want to ensure that today and tomorrow future generations benefits from this resource. But I don't have the exact or all the details of how it will operate, but I think from my understanding, that's a little that I can share with regards to the Virtual Sovereign Fund. I think it's managed by the Bank of Namibia. Maybe if you need more information, you will find it on our website or the Ministry of Finance. But for the refinery, government, we are not an investor. We cannot take your money and invest into such ventures, but we encourage investment. We are open for any sort of investment. If we have an investor with an appetite of investing into a refinery, we have our hands wide open. Why not? If it's a value addition in Namibia. So we are encouraging those sort of investments in a country. So I think that's all I can say about the questions.
Sorry, we have 1 or 2 questions online. Only one, okay. So thank you to the audience that is online. We will take your questions. There is a question online where the individual asked, what happened to the local content fund?
Thank you to the online comment or the question. As far as I'm concerned, we still don't have a local content fund. And it is something that perhaps one can look into, but at the moment there is no local content fund. Yeah, we only have the local content policy, which basically is broad-based. It looks into creation of employment, goods and services, as well as supporting businesses in terms of ownership. So that is basically what I can say on that particular matter. There is no local content fund. Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my apologies for arriving late. I just had some prior commitments to take care of. But I'd just like to boast a little bit on the Velvicia Sovereign Wealth Fund. Just quickly showed Honorable Mzileka here. In February, that fund already stood at $453 million. So it's already growing substantially, and I think it's definitely going to be one of those parachutes in the case of emergency for the country. So I think applause to everybody involved for bringing that on the leg. And then I know there isn't a local content fund, but I know that there's already a lot of different discussions around how do we upskill our locals, and I think a lot of different programs being worked on and crafted to take, residents from Lüderitz and Walvis Bay and send them for the training that they require. So I think there's a lot of excitement about that news that we will share with you soon. And then the Petroleum Fund, I think, will also assist in skills capacity building in the country. I can't tell you to what extent yet, but there's a whole lot of different initiatives, and yeah, I think there's a real promise for everyone.
Yes, a lot of hands. Sorry, I can just take one more question. Okay. For the lady raised her hand. We need to move.
Thank you. My name is Potasius Namiko. My question, or rather suggestion, will be based on the training. The policy doesn't speak much on the TVET sector. All it does on the TVET. Yeah, because as I scan through, it speaks more of the wheel system, or rather the on-the-job training. So in terms of now capacity building, I think we have an idea of what the specialized skills are that we'll need as a country. Why don't we also have an addition to our TVET curriculum perhaps, so that we can also train and then also export our skills rather than always just importing. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ruth. Afternoon, sorry. My first question would be, in addition to what my fellow TVET mentor has just alluded, the issue of skills and the skills gap that needs to be filled, especially with artisans, for example. I'm an artisan myself. You are always being told that you should have a specific skill. But what we need to know, or what we need to find out, is that what skills are those that need to be added on to an electrician, for example, because we are just being told we need to have extra skills, but these skills are not being identified. So that we can know that our electricians need to have this number of skills for them to be on those oil rigs. And then the other thing is that since we are having the oil bus and the energy boom that is coming to Lüderitz, I'm inviting NAMCO to open an office here in Lüderitz also. You are in Walvis Bay, also come to Lüderitz. And then maybe there will be some activities running around here in Lüderitz. The third one is the local impact. I like what she said earlier. She seems to be, she knows her stuff. She has 30 points in grade 12, and it's very hard to get. I myself didn't get 30 points.
And you can see that she's vibrant, she's able to do something for herself. And maybe, yes, we need to really look at the local youth for employment, when there's employment opportunities for them to be the forefront of all this. And again, Tibet, in the policy, yes, nothing was really said on Tibet, and we know that artisans are the ones that build these countries. The building that you are standing in is artisans who brought it up, and there's nothing really that speaks to Tibet. And then my last one would be the policy that you've just alluded. I wanted to ask, who's going to police these policies? If KAES, for example, is an energy company there, who is going to make sure that the policy that you've just highlighted to us is actually policed? Who's going to look after these Namibians that are sitting in KAES? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Kosdek. Maybe just to add that Kosdek's application forms are out. It's only for $60. And I think in future we could be partners because, number one, we train Tibet trainees, and we have a database where we are able to follow our trainees. So when it comes to job opportunity, we could be consulted in the future so that we are able to trace those who have been trained in Tibet. So our application forms, $60. You are able to take opportunities already and come for training. We do train plumbing, pipe fitting. We have welding and metal fabrication. We have hospitality and we have office administration. So we do have a suggestion box here for future TVET opportunities, training opportunities. So if there is training need that is needed, that we need to offer, you come, you put in your suggestion. There is a suggestion box here, and then we are looking into it. Thank you.
Okay, on TVET, of course we do recognize that TVET training is one of the key to driving this industry. And I just do not know why we did not spell it out properly in the policy if it is not. I was just trying to go through it, and yeah, I don't know why it's not spelled out properly, because even now we do have initiatives. Petrofund is undertaking some, I don't know, maybe ended in an MOU with some of the TVET institutions to ensure that it's a par with the industry, with the industry's requirement. And I know as of last year we also sent a few Namibians, close to 10 if not more, outside the country to be trained, and it was TVET training. So we do recognize that TVET is key to driving this industry. And the skills, we take note of that of course we know that this industry, on top of the general engineering, it needs specialized skills, also specialized certifications. We take note of that. Maybe it's a task that the government must take to ensure that all this is spelled out somewhere so that the public is aware of these specialized skills for them to take advantage of this. NAMCO to open an office. Shanika, please take that back to the acting MD. The policing of the policy. I indicated in my presentation that that will be the work of the regulator to ensure that these companies submit local content plans, and on an annual basis they do reporting on that. So we'll be monitoring progress thereof. The monitoring, evaluation, and all this will be done by the regulator, which now is the Upstream Petroleum Unit. If that answers. You cannot hear. Did you all hear? Sorry? Who's the regulator? It's the Upstream Petroleum Unit as of the 1st of April 2025. The upstream petroleum industry is regulated by the Upstream Petroleum Unit under the Office of the President, headed by Honorable Cornelia Shilunga and Mr. Mloud as a deputy head. Yeah. Thank you. Maybe just by show of hands before we leave, I want to understand who we have in the room. Do we have, we have people from TVET, right? From those institutions. By show of hands. NAST, do we have University NAST here? Or UNAM? Any students in Lutherans? But upstream petroleum companies? Just what? No, ISO. Okay. No.
Let us please give let us please give Ms. Hangero a round of applause. I want to once again thank all the audience online and for those that are seated here today. Thank you once again for coming. We're not closing yet. There will still be lunch, and then the big conversation will be held afterwards where recommendations and further questions can be placed to ensure that your voice is heard in this policy. I would just like to give the Regional Councillor, is it 9 minutes? Yes? Suzanne Njaleka. Susan Njaleka, so my apologies. Just a few moments to say something to the audience.
Thank you, Director of Proceedings. My contribution to this discussion, with the permission, Honorable Governor, is just to acknowledge this outreach discussion or workshop, but also to make you all aware that we are, as the leadership, continue to manage ongoing expectations from the community, very high and tough expectations as they have expressed themselves. And what is currently on offer and the limited opportunities that our communities must understand, it's very difficult to manage this at this moment at our offices. But we are hopeful with the leadership that our governor has the task that has been laid upon us to lead to this region, just to make sure that as leaders we are available to, if we are given task, to act on that. But the homework that we will be left here is to continue the discussions, continue conversations, continue that the youth groups must workshop themselves, put facts, put themes for open discussions, for us to deeper understand and deeper unpack these topics. It is just the start, and we have so much to prepare to see ourselves learning and growing. I would like us all to know that we still have to grow, we still have to learn, we still have to prepare ourselves, and for us to be willing to walk this journey with government and our authorities and leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Councillor. There is just one announcement.
Thank you. I extend salutations to the leadership. This is an invitation to all of us present here to please join the Honorable Minister of International Relations and Trade, Honorable Selma Ashipala Mo Savi, please, on the 3rd of September at the same venue from 10:30 to 12:30. And this is an invitation to business owners, entrepreneurs, producers, and the Namibia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as well as the Lutwitz Business Forum. This is primarily for you to engage the Honorable Minister and her team. There will be presentations from Namibia Investment and Promotions Board, the Namibia Revenue Agency, as well as the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy, in addition to that of the Ministry of International Relations and Trade. A primary target of the Honorable Minister is to engage us as Lutwitz, residents and aspiring business people, to find out how we can benefit from various international and local trade treaties that we have signed. See you there on Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you once again. We are 20 minutes early, so we would like to ask you that you may remain seated or go outside for a stretch. We will have
I think still, because we are still a bit in time, if there is any questions, let us continue to engage. If there's questions, please, Namibians, this is your time. We want to leave here with the assurance and the comfort that all of you present here has been given a platform and opportunity to express yourselves on this policy. It is a very important policy. So we're breaking at 1 o'clock and there's still time. Let us engage each other. Also, after lunch, this is now where we now need to really come up now with concrete suggestions, what you want to see reflected in the policy. For now, we have asked the questions and we have clarified. After lunch, we want you now to tell us, this is what we want to see in the policy. For now, let us still have questions and making sure that everybody's voice is heard. Do we still have questions? Thank you. So let us use this opportunity and this time until 1 o'clock to ask our questions.
Thank you. As my principal has said, please feel free to engage with the teams that are present here today. Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Yes. You can engage as we discuss. Yes. Or should we? Okay. My apologies. Sorry. So that means we will take a few more questions until 1 o'clock. Are there any more questions? Please raise a hand so I can just see. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we shall just go in this order.
Sorry, operations officer. My name is Lucas Gepard. I actually just want to talk about the receipt that mentioned that no Kayeso came in with their employees, but to remove any confusions and spreading rumors, Kayeso based in Lutwitz here, they have 11 employees and 10 of us we are fully Namibians and 7 are from Lutwitz. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Balzaza Sondas. Mine is more like a suggestion. By the prophets, they make, why don't you implement a refinery? by the prophets, with the prophets that we make as Namibians. We can set up a refinery in Namibia to have the product in our hands. Thank you.
Noted. Thank you. We know it is a contribution.
Any questions?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emma Peters. I'm the EXCO member of NCCI and also an entrepreneur in town. So my concern is just, it's not really a question, but it's a recommendation. So we got some young people that are working on the oil vessels, but there's always complaints that on the unskilled workers, there's always employees that are coming from outside. If we are talking now at the league that is standing behind in Barbersby, there's a lot of people that came in from outside the country that are working just general workers. I think our policy must speak very highly and strong so that those people cannot come in and take our people. We are talking about youth employment, that people are not having a job here and other people are coming and take those just to clean or just to unpack some certain items. Please, our policy must speak very, very, very strong regarding that. And also, I wanted also to allude, on the green hydrogen, there was a scholarship running up. I think on the oil and gas, we also need that. There's people that are living in poverty, but they also want to uplift their kids and their youth, but there's no money to do that. That schools are in South Africa or wherever, and it's not everyone who can afford to pay for their kids. I think something must also happen from our government so that we can prepare if the work started and our kids are also well prepared. For those that cannot really afford, something must also happen in the oil and gas area, the same as on the green hydrogen. Thank you.
I really like the approach by the government, the local content policy, which speaks to inclusion and all that, and also facilities to consider all that. But there's one thing I always, that I always see challenging. And I can always, I can say, make the comparison, I can always make the comparison of sports or box or whatever. You will be put on your weight that fits your type. So with that said, Namibia of a diverse ethnic class whereby different combinations are there. You will have different cultures. You will find that others are hunters and gatherers, others are predominantly economic minded. Now these other cultures who historically, the mindset is hunter gatherer. End of the day, I can see that there are many tribes they are making behind. Not because most of the time exclusion, but the mindset shift needs to be speak to the policy content. That's all I want to say.
Yes, it's here. I just have an observation. I don't see the military as safety and security cluster present. And with, as we know, the world over, oil brings with it its own set of evils. Is there a way where the military, especially safety and security cluster, can be accommodated? For example, Lüderitz does not have, the Navy does not have a vessel
nor does the Navy have a helicopter. Should anything happen, it requires Walvis Bay to disembark vessels and helicopters to defend the territorial integrity. NAMCOR and the powers, what is being done to accommodate an upskilling of the safety and security of our people. Thank you.
Good afternoon again. I just want to put emphasis on the fact that you said that we should get an office from NAMCO in Lutherans itself. Because in Lutherans it's very hard to go to our leaders because our leaders honestly are unreliable. It's only for certain people. Example, last month, I'm giving an example. Last month, or the month before last month, I went to the regional office because we always say at meetings that the office is open for anyone, especially the youth. I went to the office of the regional council. I asked them to help me with copies of my business plan because I want to start improving my own lifestyle. Because we have been working with impact tanks from Windhoek. They are trying to uplift the youth, trying to put us into place with whatever we want to do. But Mr. Primus told me, no, they can only help me with two printouts. I went to my student, she told me the same thing. Then I went back to my class, I found two of my colleagues, one actually confirmed now, one I found in my club. They helped them with two business plans, not even one printout, two printouts of the business plans at the regional office. But because me, I'm active youth, I talk too much sometimes or whatever, I never get help from the offices here. I go to every place that I can think of when I need help. Especially the regional office does not cater for the youth. Even though they say they cater for the youth, they don't cater for the youth. Unless you belong to a certain ethical group. No offense to anyone in this.
That's powerful. May we please have order? Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Mine is neither a question or perhaps mine is definitely not a question nor a response to what was said here. I just want to touch on two issues. The one being the question of employment. There is one thing that I want to encourage our youth and elders, that as much as we are looking for employment, we should also look into this whole development phenomenon which is running around on the question of self-employment also. That's one part that we must try and get kind of a niche into what is happening here. Also to empower ourselves to the stage of employing ourselves as we are progressing through this development thing. I just want to, and I'm not issue specific in what I'm saying here. I had to run to a village the other day that informed me that there are also sometimes tendencies of xenophobic attitudes that we pick up in our communities. Now we must remember that the resources that we are talking about belongs to all of us. I so much support the intent that we have of making sure that we are not left behind. I fully support that. But that must eventually, as time grows, not translate into being xenophobic against other people that would also come to this place, taking up employment. Let's balance that. And I think I'm so happy that locals will be catered for, because as much as you are claiming to be catered for, in a bigger portion, some people are also claiming these things where they are. And you said comments. My good people, let's try to balance. I think this content gives, without saying it explicitly, preference to those ones who are local. And we cannot expect them to say that so much percentage of the locals must be given. They must as a conscience, take it in themselves to make sure that more people are employed from the locals. But I can guarantee you, if all goes well, the number of people that need to be employed will be much more than those ones in Lutherans. So let's be cognizant of the developments as it is evolving. I'm asking you, I had you sit in a meeting that was not meant for me for hours the other day. Let's refrain from getting xenophobic. Namibia and Lutherans is all we have. And in the process, make sure that you get employed. The leadership here, make sure that we cater for our own people first, because charity begins at home. Let's start there, but let's expand beyond the periphery of only those ones in the town. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that direction, Honorable Governor. There was a question on the issue of the security cluster. It is very important. Yes, the security cluster is part and parcel of what we want to achieve. They need to be brought along, but remember, what is our aim here? What is it our objective today? Our objective is basically to present a policy that speaks to how Namibians can benefit through the goods and services from this industry, from employment, from knowledge and skills transfer, and how businesses can be assisted in order to develop themselves. This is where we are. This is what we want to achieve. And this is the message that we want to share with you and get your input on that. Yes, I think it is important that we have that understanding and that we focus on those particular issues. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. I didn't really get the question, but just to give feedback on the issue of Petrofund. Petrofund is a fund that was set up with the aim to train Namibians. Namibians from tertiary level to VTC, TVET level as well. So I understand, and I've seen also that they have issued a request for Namibians to apply for certain areas of training. That is available. It is on social media. The fund is set up specifically to enable Namibians to equip themselves, to gain the necessary knowledge, to have that ability to meaningfully participate in this industry. That is the purpose of that fund. So please, we would also want to see you, the people of Karas region, the people of Lutherans, to participate and take up these particular opportunities, to equip yourself and be ready, because the industry in oil and gas is very specialized. If we have to now going into the levels, it's a very specialized sector, but there is also opportunities, also the low-hanging fruits. But we would want to see meaningful participation at all levels, from the skilled, semi-skilled, and to the opportunities that are available for everybody to take part. Thank you.
And the scholarship is open until the 7th of October 2025. Scholarship application on Petrofund website. Please, seize the opportunity.
One more before we have to go on break.
Okay. Okay. Oh, sementara kopiannya
kurema sesitara o masjid o mahangano ngao o hira nge sesa ngata ngana ku korbenga mahori ngata ndio mahori mo sesa ndara ninge no o mahori ga kare geni erandra sanriago yukirira ga kare chepona nanda poi pres ba trapo no ngana pari to fu tongo trapo no ngana tatu ba trapo sesa uchina chipa chinengo go yo go torongiro mahori na to ke kambalia ni korbenga mahori Yen, o mahori ngeno ese se to tra ni nganga ika rolito karo na mwero ngi sa sakandi te na kati ga manchi ta como ga tra ni kendi te gari so sumuna ma faita ga ngom mare puranda andari wuja na agro karo ni sa na ni karo gono ko ku igor winge kamenda ka sa aja ga nja ko to tra ni
There?
Can you please just translate?
All right. He's basically asking the question Junior asked in the beginning regarding labor brokers, the one that was mentioned, APS, taking certain percentages the people's salary. So he's asking for the oil industry to follow the right channels and not use those guys.
Would like to thank. Okay. We would like to thank the audience once again for being very productive and very engaging in this first session, first half of the day, the first session for the day. We would like you to, we'll disperse now. You will have an hour break. We would like to start on time at 2 o'clock, please. There will be lunch served for those that would like some good food and a cold beverage, non-alcoholic. Yes. So kindly please be seated. Let us just get our food in an orderly fashion. Please, once you have consumed, please disperse of it in a clean manner. Thank you once again. See you at 2. Remain seated for those that are awaiting your refreshments. Yeah. Thank you.